Hi guys. I am doing two things today. One, I am testing out my Pivo outside. I have some new equipment coming to help with sound, but I also wanted to make sure that it's going to be working with my stand and whatnot. So sorry you get to be guinea pigs for that. But I wanted to make a video outside as I'm getting ready to work with my horses about some riding safety things around clothing. Okay. Again, one of the things that I specialize in is helping adult amateur riders who did not necessarily grow up around horses or did not get the benefit of horsemanship that a lot of us who have come up in the horse industry 30, 40 years ago did get. And there are things that you don't necessarily get if you're taking riding lessons or working with a trainer. If you are an avid reader like I am, you might get those things, but not likely, because most of the books you find out there are going to be focused on training, physiology, and they're not going to talk about simple things like your clothes, right? And one of the things that I have found with a lot of adult amateurs, especially between 35 and 45, I personally am 49, I turned 50 in December, is that we are in a stage of our life where we're struggling with some self-esteem issues and some confidence issues, and that translates over to our horsemanship. It translates over to our experience in barns, at horse shows, and all of the other things, right? Now, I grew up riding hunters. I rode hunters for years and years and years. I have, for the last 12 years, I think it is, also competed in Western sports. So I ride English and Western. Now, when I am at a horse show, and for those of you who show, you will find out that there are expectations at horse shows, not just in the rules, but also for tradition. When I was a kid, hunters were expected to wear rust pants and blue jackets. That has changed, but that was the tradition back then. We also wore these, we wore helmets that basically were like caps and flew off when you hit the ground anyway, right? Thankfully, we've come a long way in safety gear. So now vented helmets are the standard. But the rule books will define a lot of that for you. But what about when you're schooling your horse at the barn? What if you're just a trail, and I say just a trail rider, but understand that there are lots of trail riders out there who do very dangerous things that aren't being done by people who show. Now, really good horse people can ride their horse anywhere, okay? My horses that go to horse shows and things like that, you can take them out on the trail because they trust in my leadership. We have a strong bond. They are not fearful of things like plastic bags or other things. You will find some show horses, you take them out of the arena and they blow a gasket, and you'll find some trail horses, you put them in an arena and they'll blow a gasket. So not all riders in any discipline are all the same. And there are a lot of things that are done. I know some people who ride trails in Tennessee. Those people are hardcore riders, and their horses are as broke gets. I also know some trail riders who can't ride worth a darn. Okay, who do some very easy trails, and their horses are not very broke. They might be fine in a herd of horses, but when you get them away from that herd, they're buddy sour and whatever, and the riders don't really know how to ride, okay? So understand that there's a wide range, okay? So when I say just a trail rider, I don't mean anything derogatory by that. I simply mean that you don't have barn clothes and show clothes, okay? So what do you ride typically in, right? Now, I will get Western people who give me a hard time because I will ride Western or English in English riding clothes in the summer. I am in Florida, guys. It is too stinking hot to put on a pair of jeans, okay? And even your lightest riding jeans are unbelievably uncomfortable in Florida in this humidity. Now, in Tennessee, if I got up at 5:30 in the morning, I could ride in a pair of jeans and a tank top. I can't do that here in Florida. So I ride in riding tights, okay? They're Lycra, they're wicking. They get wet, they dry real quick. You'll see my riding top is also, it's Ariat. I think these are Tough Rider. I do not worry about spending a lot of money on my riding clothes. Not my schooling clothes. Some of my show clothes that I don't wear that often, yeah, I've invested more money in. I've had them for a long time. but these get ripped, they get dirty. I don't care. There are lots of places. I know a lot of us are on a budget. It's not that, you know, I have plenty of money to spend on my horses. But I do have to watch that money, right? Because I have multiple horses and they are expensive. And so there are some great places that you can look for used riding clothes if you're okay with that. Poshmark happens to be a place I found some really good stuff. Also, I checked the sales at places like horse.com and stateline.com. We do not have any local tack stores around here. When I was in Tennessee, I fortunately had some local tack stores and we had a lot of tack swaps. I also checked tack swaps. There's not a lot around here, but the ones I find, I do hit. But again, what am I looking for riding clothes when I'm schooling horses? Okay. Now, there are some barns that will say you can't wear tank tops, or, you know, have some general rules. That's fine. That's their deal. I ride at home. Sometimes when it's hot, I wear a tank top and I don't care. I care about my first priority is safety. Okay. Now I want you to notice something, right? There is nothing that's going to get caught on anything. Okay. Like I guess possibly like I could get something caught on my sleeve, right? But things are fitted nicely so that they're not getting rubbed on things, they're not getting caught on things. All of my skin is covered, so I'm not getting pinched by any tack. If I happen to brush up against something, it's not going to tear my skin. It might tear my clothes, but it's not going to tear my skin, because I do train some younger horses, or I get in a lot of horses that need rehab or have some behavioral issues. So occasionally I get run into a tree. My clothes keep me from getting scratched. Now, my Pivo keeps zooming in, so I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this, but see these? Okay, let's see if I could get it. Yep, it keeps zooming in on me. So I will post a link to what I'm wearing on my shoes. I am ground working horses today. I'm not actually getting in the saddle. I have two that I'm working with. One is a colt who is 1.5 years. My future show prospect. He is too young to be working out there, so we're going to be working on the ground. I will say this, I groundwork all my horses because I focus on relationship. One of the things that I have learned over the years in training dogs and horses is your biggest asset is your relationship with your animal, okay? Period, end of story. There's lots of methods for training animals. But let me tell you this, it's all about motivation. Horses are motivated by different things than dogs are motivated by, but it's all about motivation, right? And in order to know how to motivate a human, a dog, whatever, you have to have a relationship and you have to know what excites that animal, okay? So I do groundwork all my animals, but today I'm focusing on two in particular, the colt and then my retired Appaloosa who injured himself earlier this week. My guys are in a herd, and occasionally they do dumb things. And he hurt his leg just above the hoof. It was swollen. We got the swelling down. We noticed a cut, and he was limping really badly when it first happened, but he's fine. But I still don't want to get on him and ride him right now. He's also I've had 3 foot surgeries in the last couple of years. And he has not been getting the level of work that he needs to be getting to maintain his top line. Moving climates from Tennessee to Florida really messed up his top line. So I'm focusing on corrective exercises with him and just general conditioning, which all can be done from the ground. Plus, he's my favorite boy. I've had him for a long time, over a decade. We showed together for a decade. I love spending time with them. So today is a groundwork day. So I am wearing riding clothes because they're comfortable and they're safe, but I'm wearing these particular boots. You see how they have laces? Let me tell you something about these boots, okay? Well, I see a lot of people riding them, especially short people, because they're comfortable to walk around in. They are not the safest thing, okay? And I talk about safety a lot. Until you've had a wreck that scares the crap out of you, you probably won't think much about what I say. But trust me, you don't want to be the person that experiences what I have seen or what I have experienced that makes you not want to ride in these boots, okay? These laces will get hung on something. I've had it happen. I don't ride in them. I live in them when I'm not riding. Ariat made a great product in these boots. After my foot surgery, when I was able to transition out of a boot and into a comfortable shoes, I didn't transition into sneakers. I transitioned into these, and I'll put a link in this video for you. but I don't ride in them. When I ride, if I'm riding English clothes, I either wear just a basic tall boot, or I wear what's called padded boots, and with half top over them. So there's nothing exposed that can get caught on stuff. I mean, technically the half top, I guess, could. Never had that happen. If you have them on correctly and you have them fitted correctly, they work. Now, use the sizing charts when it comes to half tops, okay, if you ride in them. Or if you have a tack store, have a professional fit them to you. That's the best way to do it. But if you have a riding instructor, have them help you, okay? But again, I ride in Western clothes in the winter because guess what? They're warmer. Now, I will get English people who criticize me for doing that, just as Western people criticize me for riding in English clothes in a Western saddle. If I'm not at a horse show, who cares? If it's safe and it's comfortable, who cares, right? Okay, so when I'm riding in Western clothes and Western saddle, no problem in the winter. But what I do to ride in my English clothes is I put a set of chaps on. I put schooling chaps over top, which makes it possible to ride an English saddle in jeans. I do have to make sure that I'm wearing usually like padded boots or something like that, or a smaller cowboy boot, because the bigger cowboy boots don't always fit into English stirrups, and it's super important that your boot fits in a way that it's not going to get stuck. Okay, so I want you to consider safety, right? And I'll be talking more about various safety topics. I want you to consider, when it comes to clothes, first, safety. 2, is it going to be comfortable? And I mean comfortable not just in a riding sense, but also in the sense of temperature, right? Like, not just is it going to be comfortable when you're in the saddle, but you know, if it's really hot out, like, you know, when I get out here in the mornings or even in the evenings, I'm still dealing with 80 degree weather. So jeans are just not comfortable, right? They are very comfortable in the winter, not so much in the summer. And then the third thing to consider is your budget, right? Riding clothes can get really expensive. If you're at a barn where people criticize you, Tough Riders cheap, okay? They're super cheap. I don't care. I don't care because I go through these things, right? I rip them, I get them dirty, and I don't care, so I buy the cheap ones. Now my show clothes, different story. But my everyday stuff, I don't care. And if you're at a barn where they judge you for that, find a new barn. Find a new barn. Because I would much rather put my money into the care of my horse than in a label. Okay? Now, one last thing that I want to talk about is, if you see this, I'm married. Love my husband. He's super supportive of my horse habit. He even rides once in a while himself. And I like to wear my wedding ring. I like it to be clear that I'm married. But you should never, ever, ever have a metal ring on when you're working with dogs or horses or any other animal, because yes, they can get caught. I used to work in manufacturing, and I've seen people lose their fingers for not following the rules. I've seen people in riding lose their fingers, okay? This is silicone. It snaps, okay? My watch, plastic band, and I have had them snap. If anything gets caught, it snaps. Now, I need a watch because I have a schedule, I have things to do, I work full time, I have a business, I have all these animals, I have to know what time it is, but I make sure it's always something that will snap. Leather or plastic that will snap. Do not wear something that, you know, is, like, there's some really good tactical watches out there that are like waterproof and like 5 million other things. There are some cool bands for fitness trackers that are not going to break. Make sure that sucker's going to break, okay? Now, I do not typically wear my hair like this when I'm actually riding, because your hair could get caught on things. Now, I'm doing groundwork, so I'm not that worried. I just made sure it was pulled out of my face and I can see, right? But I highly recommend braiding, getting it like out of the way, right? Because I've seen people with really long hair leave their hair down in a ponytail and get it yanked out of their head. Again, safety doesn't seem so bad until you see it happen. And I've been doing this. I've been riding for, it'll be 41 years this summer. It's 41 years this fall. I've seen a lot of crap happen, and I don't want to see it happen to you. Don't be that person. Be safe, okay? Be safe, be safe, be safe. You can't be safe enough. You might have the best horse in the world, but that horse steps in some fire ants, you got a bronc on your hands. And we all think we're going to see it. We all think everything's going to go perfectly, but believe me, I've had some wrecks I didn't expect. It's better safe than sorry, because there's only one of you, right? And what happens to your horse when you're not here? You know, you can't ride your horse if you're gone, or you're laid up in the hospital for months and months and months. You know, I don't want that for you. So just be extra safe, okay? Now, a note about riding in things like shorts and flip-flops. I live in Florida. I have a lot of friends who trail ride. I see it all the time. Go Google why you shouldn't wear flip-flops in the barn. You'll see. And you'll have people say, oh, that'll never happen to me. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. Maybe it won't. Maybe the statistics are with you and it won't happen. But you're dealing with a prey animal. It can happen. It can happen. And even not with a prey animal, it can still, or even with a prey animal who's highly trained, it can still happen. Okay? You know, I just encountered my colt coming out of anesthesia. He almost stepped on my foot, and I was recovering from foot surgery. I do some pretty fancy dancing to keep him away from my foot. Happens. Shorts, again, you know, you just never know what you're going to run into. And I have seen people lose chunks out of their legs. You know, there's it pinches your leg, right? And maybe it doesn't pinch your leg and you're fine, and who cares, right? But I wear these. My dad grew up in a cattle ranch in Colorado, and he used to argue, like, he used to actually mow the lawn in cowboy boots. Because he was like, they protect you from snakes. And my mother was like, well, you're in Massachusetts now, there's no snakes. Funny story. The first time he actually wore shoes, she convinced him to buy a pair of sneakers, and he mowed the lawn. He ran over a wasp nest. And he'd wish he'd had the boots on. It's all about protecting your body, right? You can't be too safe. It's your choice, but I don't ride in shorts, ever. I don't ever go to the barn in anything but closed-toed shoes, ever. I don't take a chance. So, just a few things to think about. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll put links to as many things as I've mentioned as I can remember in the video. And have fun with your horse, because that's really what it's all about.